Cecil B. DeMille over there. Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Harris. I'm the director of the Kaiser Permanente Vegetarian Lifestyle Clinic, and this is the third seminar. The idea of the Lifestyle Clinic is to try to introduce you to the idea of eating a vegan diet. A vegan diet is a strict vegetarian diet that includes no animal food at all. That means no meat, no poultry, no eggs, no dairy, and no fish. And we even exclude honey as a general principle, although that's not the most important part of the idea. The reason I recommend this diet is, number one, it's very difficult to stay overweight on a vegan diet because you'll always meet your nutrient requirements before you meet your calorie requirements. You'll also fill your stomach several times over before you succeed in meeting your calorie requirements. So under those conditions, you tend to lose weight on a rather easy and regular basis. It's also a good way to bring down your serum cholesterol as well as your blood pressure. Now, I usually have a little slideshow here at the beginning, but I'm going to dispense with that because tonight we have a couple of real pros in the field. We have Harriet and Masa Yafuso, who are Seventh-day Adventists, and they've been going all over the islands showing people how to eat their style of vegan cooking, and we have some very good food tonight. So rather than take up your time with me talking, I'm going to just introduce Masa. He's going to start things off, and then he'll pass it on to Harriet. And so I'd like to introduce Masa Yafuso.
Hi.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
That's a good start. Okay.
My wife and I have been conducting these various vegetarian seminars for 5 years. And during that time, whatever we have, shown the people, if they followed it, their cholesterol drop, their blood pressure drop, their weight drop, and they really, had a better health and, better energy. So, really, it's a program that, it's really good. It works. And we're so happy that Dr. Harris invited us to be part of his program. Now, I'm not even close to, what he can really show you, but I'm happy that at least he invited us. Now, the program that we tell the people is not a program we developed. It was developed by WIMA Institute. It's an institute in California, and their program is called New Start Lifestyle. New Start. And it's an acronym, it stands for Nutrition, Exercise, Water, Sunshine, Temperance, Air, Rest, and Trust in the Lord. Now, with applying those 8 principles, they have been able to help people overcome all kinds of illness, from cardiovascular disease to cancer to diabetes to what have you. Something we developed. It's a program that they have developed that we tell the people because we know it's a program that works. Now, how did I get involved in it? Dr. Harris said for me to tell you this, so I think I'll tell you. 5 years ago, I just retired, from the teaching profession, and then I was going to volunteer my services to a church, farm. We had 200 acres on Kauai, and I thought, I'll go there and volunteer my services. I didn't just want to become a couch potato. And so I went to the doctor and this Kaiser. I'm with Kaiser Plan, and they gave me a thorough checkup from electrocardiogram, for echo, everything. And they said, you know what? You need a bypass. It says, well, you have 85, 80, 70, you must have just about 5 bypasses. So I said, well, if a cardiologist tell you that, what do you do? He said, okay, well, you're not going to argue with a cardiologist. So, said Masa, I said, you didn't have a heart attack as yet. So it's not really critical that you have a bypass right now. But if you continue the same lifestyle, it's most likely in 5 years. He said, you have to have a bypass. I said, Doc, thanks a lot. I take the chance because I just retired. And so now I said, I can exercise a little bit more. I live in Kaneohe. I used to work in town, and many times, I used to start, especially winter time, I leave home dark. By the time I go home and take, a few minutes later, it's dark again. And, so by the time I go home and have a good meal and so forth, you don't want to exercise. So now I said, look, I'm retired now. I can exercise more. And I said, oh, maybe my wife can help me with my diet. Of course, she didn't know what was good diet for me at that time. I didn't understand it either. But at least we thought, well, there's a chance. Story short, I was taking 5 different kind of pills. And one of those was a diuretic. You all know what's a diuretic? Water pill, right? Because of high blood pressure. I've suffered from high blood pressure for, something like over 15 years. And because I work for the U.S. government, I went from base to base to base, and every place I went to, I asked the doctors, I said, look, can you take away this diuretic for me? I was taking 5 different kinds of pills only for my heart. But the worst one was a diuretic because I knew it was sort of affecting my brain. Now, of course, I didn't have much, but, you feel it, So I said, if you could, take it out for me. He says, well, I can give you another one. Another what? Another diuretic. Now, that's not going to help. But I said then, how long must I take this? He said, your lifetime. You have to take it throughout your life. Well, that's my heart. That's my doing. So I said, okay, I finally resigned. Okay, I'll take it for a lifetime. And you know what? Then, of course, this thing happened to me, and then I went to WIMA. And it's a 19-day program. In 19 days, they took away 4 of those, and that includes the diuretic. I was taking over 15 years this diuretic. And all the places, how many doctors I've seen, they say, no, you have to take a lifetime. And I go to hear this, WIMA Institute, Health Institute, and in 19 days, they take it away, so you don't need it. And so you don't have to worry about heart attack. And since that time, say, go back to Hawaii and see your cardiologist, see your doctor. One pill that's left was a minor pill. They said he'll take it away. If you keep on losing weight, I lost some more weight, and sure enough, 1 month later, he took it away. So 5 pills, and one of those I was supposed to take a lifetime. All those were taken away. Today, I don't take any pills. I'm a vegan. And so I know it's a program that works. And therefore, when I came back, I told my wife, you know what? We should let the people know. The people don't know about this. There are, hundreds still going through bypass. Every week you hear about people who said, hey, they had a heart attack, or, they went to the doctor, said they had a bypass, or they must have a bypass. So we decided to, we told the people, said, look, the way to overcome this, you have to exercise, all these principles, but especially nutrition. They said, vegetarian, what do you eat? You eat lettuce and carrots? They don't know, said, I don't know how to prepare vegetarian food. So, and that's where we said, okay, then we have to show the people how to do it. And that's why my wife and I started this, vegetarian cooking class. And it's a program that really works. Like this, Dr. Crane, Milton Crane, said there are 2 causes of, degenerative disease. The first one is, of course, avoid eating foods with faces. That's interesting. Yeah? Who has a face? Do you have a face? All animals produce cholesterol, and cholesterol is, so important in your body. Every cell it is, every hormone. So, what? Your body makes the cholesterol. It's the outside cholesterol that you take is bad. Okay, let's look at avoid eating foods with faces. And, of course, basically, Americans, eat beef, chicken, and Hawaii eat quite a few fish. But Hawaii is a melting pot of nations where you have all kinds of animals. And, like octopus, you have ducks, and you have lobsters, shrimps, crabs, more products. And their byproducts, And, the eggs, for instance, pound for pound. The worst food to have the highest amount of cholesterol is eggs. Interestingly, we come to milk, and all this down here says, ice cream, yogurt, butter, jello, and so forth. Well, let's just take interesting thing about milk. We grew up saying that you must have milk because you need lots of calcium, and you know where you can get your calcium already. I'm sure you discussed this before. But what's wrong with milk? Well, first of all, it has lots of protein, right? high concentration of protein. And with this protein, Dr. Sang Lee of Weimar said, that milk is the greatest, milk and its products is the greatest cause of allergy in the United States. Greatest cause of allergy. And what's a big culprit? It's the casein, the protein in the milk. Because why? Why is it milk so bad? Because it's in a liquid state. It goes in your system. It can't be digested properly. And it goes in your bloodstream in the incomplete digested form. And say, this is the thing that causes so much allergy. Second big culprit, that Dr. Milton Crane explains is this. It says, in food, it's refined, foods. Like, all the plant oil. Take for instance, corn. It takes 17 years of corn to make 1 tablespoon of oil. And you know what? It's so easy to use that 1 tablespoon of oil. You can put on your popcorn. You can put in, the food. You can to cook and so forth. 1 tablespoon. But that 1 tablespoon is 100% fat. And interestingly, today doctors are coming out. I think Dr. Harris explained this to you already. There is a difference in calories when it comes to fat. If you eat fat, you are going to put on fat. It's that simple. Because, if you have 100 calories of fat, it takes only 3 of those calories to convert that animal fat into your body fat. But it takes carbohydrate, 100 calories of carbohydrate. It takes 23 of those calories to convert the 77 into fat. And the body has an easier time, using the carbohydrate instead of, the fat, animal fat. Well, anyway, going back, so oil, any kind of oil, is 100% fat. And another thing that's bad about fat is this, it's trans fat. When you subject the corn to a tremendous amount of heat to extract the oil, the molecule may be the same length, but it changes its character. This is, Dr. Crane explains this way. If this is a cis arrangement, stays like this, it changes to a trans arrangement. Now, what's so bad about trans fat? And you have all kinds. Anytime you change a liquid oil into a solid oil, you have lots of trans fats forming. Okay, to give you. But the trans fat, what does it do? This trans fat, it hardens the blood vessel so that, when you exercise harder, instead of coming big, it stays that way. So what must the body do to get the same amount of blood flowing? The heart has to pump harder. And that's why you overwork your heart. It seems as a simple, same length of molecule, but now the character has changed. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Okay, going through this. Then hydrogenated oils, You say, well, if it comes to plant fat, it must be pretty good. And there's an interesting story about, we don't have time to go into. This hydrogenated oil, anytime you pass hydrogen through that liquid oil, it hardens. It becomes saturated. And when you become saturated, again, there's a danger that you have quite a few of those that tend to trans fat, which is no good for your body. Okay, another thing. Many times they say, meat substitute. It comes from plant. So the meat substitute, today you have all kinds of meat substitute. You get steak, vegetarian bacon, vegetarian hot dog, vegetarian burger, vegetarian scallop, vegetarian ham, vegetarian this, vegetarian that. Are they good? Dr. Crane says, some of those are worse than eating meat. Why is it worse than eating meat? Because a lot of oil is added, a lot of sugar is added, a lot of salt is added. So you said, read the label. So learn to read the label. But instead of that, instead of eating refined foods, what you should do is eat the plant, whole, the way God made it. If I have 1 gram of prevented phytochemicals, that's better than 1 ton of curative drugs. 1 gram to 1 ton. Why? Because you can never take the phytochemicals from a plant and put into pills. It's impossible. So eat your, vegetables and fruits raw. By cooking it, you destroy the enzyme, you destroy the phytochemicals. Okay, and staples, one of the most, white rice, you just don't eat brown rice. White flour, don't you use brown bread. They said one is equivalent to 4. One brown bread is equivalent to 4 of the white bread, or even more, depending on whose article you read. Sugar. And sugar is such a bad thing. Dr. Hurd says, sugar is only a chemical. In sugarcane field, I used to work in the sugarcane field, and when I'm hungry, what do you do? Chop a sugarcane and chew on the sugarcane. And that was sweet. That was pretty good. Okay, sugar. If you want to take it naturally, not the refined thing.
Good evening. Good evening. Nice to see all of you. When we heard about Dr. Harris's class, we were so thrilled because we know that the vegan diet really does work. My husband, I guess he didn't tell you how much he lost, but he lost over 30 pounds. And me, I lost over 50 pounds. So we know it works, and it really does. And the best thing about it is you don't starve yourself. You just can eat, more than you can eat, really. And you enjoy the food because you know it's good for you. Remember when he was talking earlier, he said, one of the questions that most people ask is, what do you eat? Lettuce and carrots, And that's true. We do eat lettuce and carrots, but we eat much more than that. And so this evening, I thought, I'm not a gourmet cook, not a gourmet chef at all. I'm just a everyday home-style cook. And I wish we could have had you over to our house, but since we can't, we brought our house to you. Well, anyway, like he mentioned, fresh is best. And so tonight I'm going to give you some ideas because I can't make everything. I wanted to make everything for you, but I couldn't. So I'm going to give you just some suggestions that you can go home and do for yourself. Because a lot of times people say, oh, it's too humbug. I don't want to, do all of that. And so what I'm going to give you tonight is, share with you tonight is so simple, you're going to say, oh, I already knew that. But anyway, sometimes the simple things are something that we overlook. And so I thought I'd just share with you anyway. Okay? Remember, fresh is best because you lose your vitamins and enzymes if you cook it. However, there are some things that you have to cook, right? Your grains and your legumes you should cook for a long time. But your vegetables and fruits, as much as possible, try to eat it fresh. And tonight, I'm going to just mention, like I said, some of the things that we eat at home a lot, and some of the things I hope you will eat at home a lot too. Your family is used to the way the way you cook and what you eat at home. And so what I would suggest is just do the same kind of cooking that you do, except eliminate processed oil, okay, and use water. Like if you stir fry, just use water. Or if it's something that you need to take out of a pan, like a roast or bread, then I would use a spray like this, but not very often, okay? Just spray, just to get it out of the pan. But most of the time, I don't even use this. So try to use things naturally. Americans, most of the time, use a lot of lettuce in their sandwiches, which is great, tomatoes, and sprouts. Sprouts are wonderful. This is alfalfa sprout. And if you make your own, grow your own, that's even better, right? But anyway, we didn't have any growing, so my husband usually, sometimes does grow sprouts, but we didn't have any, so I just had to buy these. That's alfalfa sprout. Okay. They also have clover sprouts. They have soy sprouts, and they have all different kinds of sprouts now that you can get. And so, in your sandwich, instead of just a piece of iceberg lettuce, say, put a lot of other leafy green lettuce and stuff in it. Okay, fresh celery. Whoops. Okay, celery is great. Also, it really makes a nice, decoration piece too. Okay, but when you go to places, be like me. I don't just leave the decoration; I eat it too. One of the common ones, of course, is parsley, right? Most people just leave the parsley. But you know that parsley is 20 times, has 20 times more not calories, but nutrients than lettuce. Okay, so, and for color, by the way, my husband grew these radishes. It was so surprising, grew so nice and big. color is important too. Now, most children are familiar with carrot sticks, and with a little olive in it makes it a little different. So people who are wanting more calories can eat it with the olives inside. And those of us who don't want the calorie can just have plain carrot sticks. Okay, I did not bring any colored bell peppers, but colored bell peppers are great, and bell peppers are really high in vitamin C, so that's good. And for the celery people, if you are wanting to gain weight, and believe it or not, there are some people who want to gain weight. My mom is one of them. You can put peanut butter or almond butter or cashew butter. This happened to be almond butter in the center here for more added calories. And for those who don't want the calories, they can just have a plain celery stick. Celery. Okay, so these are some of the ways that Americans usually eat their vegetables raw. Let's see. Okay. You know, I said that raw is best, and if you can grow it in your yard, it's even better. And so this evening, we brought some things that my husband got from our yard today, and we're going to share these things with you, and just very briefly tell you what you can use it for. Sometimes, of course, eggplant. You can use this in your spaghetti sauce. Just add it in. Great. And you can just grill it. You don't need to use oil. Of course, I showed you this the radishes before. Okay. This, if you are making a spaghetti sauce, this is Mexican oregano. This is a variegated one. That's why it has a white, and this is the regular. By the way, after the session, you're welcome to help yourself. These came from our lessons because we share, and it's amazing. But all of these things came from our yard, someplace in our yard. Mint, and this is the regular basil. This is the Tahitian taro, and this is fantastic in lau lau or stir fry. Our string beans, this is the very end, so they don't look very good. And this is chiso in Japanese, perilla. This is Okinawa spinach, and for the color, instead of cabbage, a lot of times I use this because of the color. You know, when I make a salad. No, it has you can taste it actually. It does have a taste to it, and some people, you know, don't really care for the taste, but not bad. Okay, and this is kale. Of course, you know, for calcium. By the way, calcium you do not lose by cooking. So that's great. So you can cook it and have your calcium.
But eat it raw. It's
if you
much
can.
better.
Well, you have more nutritive value that way. Parsley. This is the American parsley. Swiss chard, chives. And chives and green onions, I just learned the other day, if you're using it for garnish, if you would cut it diagonally, it really makes it nice, you know, instead of just straight chop. I used to just straight chop. I do it diagonally now, and I like it that way. Okay, and our lettuce is just beginning, so this is a small head, but this is an oak leaf, royal oak lettuce, and it is so tender, but I'm sorry, it's just beginning, so we just had that one small one. Collard greens, very high in calcium. This is yomogi. I don't know what it is in English, but the Japanese use it to color their mochi green. Okay, and it's good to use natural things to color, like carrots to use for coloring. We make a millet butter out of millet, and you use a carrot for the coloring. And it's amazing. Carrot is orange, but when you make it into a butter, it turns like the color of butter, yellow, you know, very pretty. And of course, this is daikon, and for the Japanese, what they do is just raw, just grate the daikon, and it is really great. This is mustard cabbage, and this is New Zealand spinach, and this is Chinese spinach, and this is small. I mean, it gets bigger, but you know, it's just starting. So many of these are just starting. This is a Thai basil, which I use for decoration over there. But anyway, if you go to a Thai restaurant, they will give you this and bean sprouts for your soup to put in. And this is vine spinach. And we have this fantastic edible hibiscus. And some ladies have it in their yard. But for those of you who don't have it in your yard, this is just packed with nutrition. You're going to tell them?
Okay, let me just give you a rough idea. Now, protein, lettuce, has 0.9. Well, let's compare with broccoli. Broccoli is supposed to be one of the best vegetables that you know of. And broccoli has 2.8 protein and grams, and edible hibiscus 5.7, double. Calcium broccoli has 80 milligrams, edible hibiscus 580. Iron 0.9. Edible hibiscus 3. Vitamin A has 1,115 broccoli. Edible hibiscus 13,000. So vitamin C has 88. Edible hibiscus, has 118. So in everything, that edible hibiscus is so much more superior. Please go home and plant it. I brought lots of slips on the side. You see on the side there? Each one of you can have 1 or 2. What you do, go home and stick in the ground and just halfway. Keep on watering until we grow for you. If you kill it, you're one of the very, very few poor farmers we have in Hawaii. But that you see, that's why it's called hibiscus family. This opens, but it's a very, very sensitive flower. It opens in the morning and one day it's gone, and only winter time it blooms. So it's not.
We're talking about eating whole foods whole. And what we mean is the whole, just the lemon itself. I do not use any vinegar. I use lemon juice instead. We use, of course, a lot of onion and garlic. We use tomatoes, onions, tomato, and of course our fruits, apple, banana, oranges, some kind of citrus every day. Either a tangelo, a tangerine, a pomelo, or a navel orange, or honey tangerine, or some kind of a citrus every day.
Normally.
Getting back to the layered bean casserole now. The Tostitos I bought from Costco, gigantic size, but they do have it now. They never used to have the bake, but they do have it now. And this is only $3 and something, and so it's really great. And so you can get that. But
Harriet, can you read us the label on those Tostitos?
Okay, baked Tostitos, super size, low fat, 1 gram of.
What's in them?
Oh, what's in them?
Yeah.
Okay. Corn and salt, no preservatives.
Have you ever seen a simpler label than that?
No. No.
That's what all the labels that you use ought to look like. Nothing more than...
I don't know how many of you saw this Veggies cartoon in the paper, but I had to clip it out because this reminded me of that.
Hold it up so we can see it.
Okay. Ziggy's goes to the store, and in the front entrance it says fat-free, no fat, 0 fat, and then he goes inside and there's a shelf with low fat, and he picks up a package that says fat-free pork rinds, and then it says absolutely fat, no fat in the can that he has, and then he goes over here, it says 100% fat-free, light lard. It says contains 0 grams of fat. So Ziggy at the end says, sometimes I think the only thing in a grocery store that's not fat-free is me. And that was cute. And that's true, everything. Read your labels carefully because it's important. Okay, I'm going to go through the ingredients with you first, and then I'll put it together. And this is a great potluck dish. Okay, the chips here. The nacho cheese sauce is not a dairy sauce cheese. You make your own. The recipe is here. And some people say, oh, but cashew is so fattening. Well, let me tell you, comparing half a cup of oil with half a cup of cashew. Okay, oil, half a cup of oil 963.5 calories. And half a cup of cashew, 337, about 3 times as much calories in the oil than the cashew. Calcium in the oil, 0 milligrams. Cashew, 26.5 milligrams. Protein in the oil, 0 grams. And cashew, 12 grams. Fat, half a cup of oil, 109 grams of fat in the oil, and 27 grams of fat in the cashew for half a cup. And carbohydrate, 0 in the oil, and 20 grams in the cashew. You can see why the oil is a, what do they call that? No, or empty calories? Oh. Yeah, empty calories. Okay, well anyway, so for the nacho cheese sauce, and it's so easy to make your own. However, if you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to reverse a health condition, you can keep this away from you for a while until you get better. Okay? So and that's the nice thing about cooking this way. You can leave things out that you don't want to use, and then you can add things that you do. But anyway, for tonight, you're not going to eat a whole meal. You're just going to have a taste, so you can taste it. Okay? The nacho cheese sauce is the raw cashew that I blended. I did not bring my blender and things because what I did was to show you that it does actually turn like milk or cream. This is a cup of cashew to a cup of water, and it does turn like milk, right? So that's how I brought it to show you. And then you just add the pimentos and fresh lemon juice, onion powder, sea salt, and garlic powder and paprika. And this is what you get. It's like a cheese, right? And it tastes like a cheese too. Oops. See, the pimento gives that color. Yeah, makes the color, right. So if you want it darker, you put more pimentos in and you can make it darker. Okay, that's the nacho cheese sauce. Then the refried beans, you just do it, just put together again. You don't have to use pinto beans. You can use other beans, whatever beans you like. But the pinto beans, tomato sauce, onion, garlic, oregano, salt, and cumin, and you just blend together. And so that's the reason why I didn't take the time to come in here, because you just put together, okay? And that's the refried beans. Okay, now the salsa ranchero in the back. The salsa ranchero, you can buy salsa that's already made. This bottle I used from but I made this one. I brought one that I bought. But anyway, this is one that I made. And I like it because everything is raw. You make your own. You don't need to cook it. And so this has onion and green pepper and parsley and garlic and cumin, oregano, tomatoes, chilies, and lemon juice, and sea salt. So therefore, it's called liquid aminos, and it's a real good substitute for shoyu. And it doesn't have I think it has only about half the salt of Kikkoman shoyu. Now, how does she make it? She puts 1 to 1, 1 cup of this to 1 cup of water, and yeah, it's strong. It's still strong. So 1 cup of this to 1 cup of water, and then she puts a little bit of lemon juice, depending on how much, how strong you want it. And this will give you, and that is the dressing that many times I use also for the vegetables. Don't buy one with full of oil. Just this bread, half water, half breads, and put lemon juice inside. And that will give you enough tangy taste so that you don't have to use dressing. And that's pretty good. It's all, it makes it very, very tasty. Very easy. And, we brought some lemon there. You're free to take some home. If you don't have change lemon and lime anytime, when I have a recipe. Because when our lemon tree has lemon, I use lemon. And when our lime tree has lime, I use lime. And it doesn't seem to make any difference. But some people can tell, I guess. But personally, I don't, think it makes a difference. So I just interchange. And that's what you need to do with a lot of your recipes is to substitute, things that are just very similar. You can substitute. I washed my hands just before. So.
Harriet, can you keep us posted on what's going into those layers of that bean cake?
Okay, it's in your recipe.
On the bottom is?
Huh? On the bottom is the chips. then the cheese sauce, and now the refried beans. And the next thing is your vegetables. And this, you can use whatever kind of vegetables you want. Today I used some wambok, which is the Chinese cabbage, and I used some iceberg. Although iceberg doesn't have much nutrient, I like the crunch. So I use that. And then I add kale and edible hibiscus. So the dark green is edible hibiscus because it has a lot of nutrients, and you want the nutrients. And so you can just put on as much vegetables as you want. At home, you can have this all separate, and then each one can make their own, because some people don't like certain things, and then they can leave out what they don't like, and they can put what they like. And so that's that. And then I had another spoon, but I don't know where it is.
There's a theory that you have to eat your way through the green stuff before you can get at the beans.
Well, if you make your own, you can just, whatever you want.
Because we can make
it's a salsa.
Yeah.
You can just put plain tomatoes, like it says. I think on your, does it say just tomatoes? I think it does. But you can use salsa or tomato or whatever you like.
And Tostitos, that's where your carbohydrates, right? Primary. Then you have that
protein.
Refried beans that gives you a protein. And then you have all the vegetables, you have all the phytochemicals, so that's a good balance there. Oh, and then of course the cheese.
Chopped olives. Again, if you are concerned about your weight and you don't want the calories, then you don't need to put this on. Okay. And this is
such a good role model.
This is the green onion, just for garnish. Okay. Oh, I hope you like the taste. But that's true that you have to make it look beautiful, because you eat with your eyes, and that's true. If it doesn't look good, you're not going to even try it, right? But if it looks good, at least you try it. And so we hope you enjoy this. Okay. And most of these things you can buy at a regular store. The cashew, you have to go to a health food store, the raw cashew, because you don't want to use the kind in a can, get the raw cashew from the health food store. But these other vegetables and stuff you just get from a regular store. And then you can decorate. Wait. Okay. And then the cheese, you can be an artist.
Harriet, before you do that, can you hold that dish up and show everybody how delectable it is before you put the cheese sauce on? Because I've got a whole bunch of patients that aren't supposed to be eating that cheese.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll put, but the bottom has a little bit on already. I'll just put half of the...
Oh, you put it all on. I just want everybody to see that it's edible without the cheese sauce on the top.
Yes, it is edible without the cheese sauce on. Okay. And like I said, tonight you're just tasting, so...
And they're not supposed to eat it, Dr. Harris, because of the
time. If you look at your recipe, you'll see that
the nuts.
Because of the cashew nuts, the recipe as a whole is about 36% of calories from fat. And I'm trying to get.
And it's just because of mostly because of the nuts and the olives too.
I checked it out with the computer, and if you take the cashews out of there, the percent of calories from fat drops down to about 11, I think.
Yeah, well, there's the olives too.
If you're trying to lose weight, you just leave the cheese sauce off the top.
That's right.
But it's okay to try it tonight, because then you'll know that you can get along without cheese.
Right. Okay, and then for a really special touch, if I have nasturtiums growing at the time, I just put it on for decoration, and it really makes it festive, I think, and nice. So
we have a question over here in the corner.
Yes. Question.
Folate means green, or means leaf, and so anything that's leafy and green is going to have a lot of folic acid. And as a matter of fact, anything leafy and green that you can eat is going to have just about everything you need in the way of essential nutrients.
Okay.
Including the iron. Yeah, it's leafy greens, particularly parsley, are just loaded with iron. Parsley has got twice as much iron per calorie as pork liver, which is the highest. You want to try pork liver for iron. the parsley's got twice as much iron per calorie as the pork liver, which is the highest iron content in any animal food.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. This is Chinese parsley or cilantro. People who like it really like it, and people who hate it really hate it. So I didn't put it in. And so those of you who really like it can come and pick your own and put it in. I know our time is gone now, but this is the sweet potato. We'll have it out here. You can try. And my husband's going to run this. This is a juicer, but we're going to run frozen banana and frozen mulberry that our friends gave us. And you're going to taste it, and it's going to taste like ice cream. But there's no cream, no sugar, just banana and mulberry. So we hope you enjoy that. And also, I did bring some cereal that all I'm going to do is put this together. This is shredded multigrain, shredded spoonfuls, and this is shredded oats. However, this is not whole foods, right? Okay? But for a little treat once in a while, not all the time. And then I got the sesame sticks, which is high calorie too, because sesame seeds, all seeds and nuts are basically high calorie food, right? High fat foods. So I'm just going to mix this here, and then you can try that too. But try as much as possible to eat whole foods whole and raw if possible. And, you know, if people say, they don't know how to cook, I say, great, because then they're going to eat things raw, right? So that's, I guess that's
and that beautiful apple didn't come out of your garden, too.
No, came out of our market, out of the market. Okay.
You all know what this is?
Yeah, okay, our time has run out, but I just wanted to go real fast through the New Start. And if you remember this New Start and do these things, not just only learn about them, but do these things, you will be healthy and happy and live a long life. Okay? Nutrition, of course. Exercise, Dr. Heydrich. Exercise. Water. Remember, lots of water, but between your meals. Sunshine. Not so you get sunburn, because sunburn is not good, okay? But you do need your sunshine. And temperance. Another word for temperance is self-control. In other words, moderation. You know, don't go overboard. Air. All of these are, you know, really important things, but we can't go over it now. But rest, and you need your rest, okay? And trust. So all of these things. Remember New Start and do these things, and may you enjoy your life as we do with lots of good times. Oh, forgot the kabocha. Pumpkin. Just bake it plain. Don't put anything. You can just bake it plain.
Bake it
350 for about an hour.
And the sweetness will really come out. And this is sweet, really. You know, it's amazing.
What is that again?
Kabocha pumpkin.
This Americans call it pumpkin. Halloween, that kind of pumpkin, it does not taste good, okay? You have to take this type of pumpkin. And this, what she does is she chops it all up. She makes it, cut it this way, half of those. She lines them up and puts in the oven. She bakes it, and boy, it comes out real sweet. This is a real good vegetable to eat. What you do is, then when the time comes, the youngsters will love this. And this is natural ice cream, you know.
I think we will wind up this gourmet food session. I think we owe Harriet and Masa a big round of applause. This is, you won't, that cheese is so realistic that I'm afraid it's going to raise my cholesterol just because of the taste of it. Really good stuff. And we're going to be lucky if we get cooking this good every time we have one of these seminars. At this time, I would like to introduce to you the president of the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, Dr. Ruth Heydrich, a good friend of mine and a colleague. She certainly knows as much about nutrition as I do. And she also can tell you how to get in contact with the Vegetarian Society, which I think is a pretty good idea if you are. And then she runs races almost every weekend, and she always comes home with gold medals. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ruth Heydrich. Have you turned yourself on?
As our introducer, Dr. Harris, said, I'm Ruth Heydrich, and I'm the president of the Vegetarian Society. The organization was formed in 1990 by a group of about 6 of us who had all experienced, or most of us had experienced, Dr. John McDougall. I came across John McDougall as a result of a breast cancer diagnosis in 1982 when he was just starting his research on diet and breast cancer, and I volunteered for that study. I was desperate to do anything that might help. And from 1982 to 1990, I struggled with this diet, a vegan, low-fat diet, pretty much alone. Didn't know any other vegan. And it's difficult because you're surrounded with all the foods that actually, in my case, it wasn't tempting because I quickly lost my taste for animal foods. Once John McDougall showed me that these were the foods that caused my breast cancer, I had no desire for them. So seeing a piece of dead animal on somebody's plate was never a temptation for me. Seeing milk, when I thought of it as a mammary secretion from a cow, I just, it's like dog milk or cat milk. So it wasn't that difficult, but in terms of other kind of support, there was none. So in 1990, when the Vegetarian Society was formed, I was right there in the front row and have been supporting the organization ever since. It is now nearly 1,000 members, so in 6.5 years it has grown very rapidly. And it illustrates the importance of, first of all, diet and its effect on health, the people that recognize the effect of diet on the planet, and of course the people that are concerned about animals. So for whatever reason, we're growing in numbers, and I'm really happy about that. We do have other events. For example, this past weekend, the Health and Fitness Expo, we had a Vegetarian Society booth along with many, many other booths there, all very health-oriented. That Friday morning, we did a health fair for the McKinley High School. That's a tough audience, I want to tell you. You can imagine all these burly basketball, football wrestlers coming by. Vegetarian diet? They just... And fortunately, one of the teachers there would say, listen, that's an Ironman triathlete there. And they go, whoa. And that's the only way I could get their attention is because a lot of them knew what the Ironman triathlon was. But it's still a tough audience. It's a message that some people come too easily. They can change like that, and others find it more difficult to change. So we're there to support people.